Ravi lived on a small space station near Jupiter. The station was not very big, just a few modules joined together, but it floated like a tiny jewel among the giant planets. Ravi worked as a maintenance worker. Every day he checked engines, repaired airlocks, and cleaned solar panels. Life was simple. Life was safe. He liked it because the stars were always outside his window, and sometimes he imagined he could reach them. Every week, people from the station bought Galactic lottery tickets. It was a fun game. No one from Earth had ever won before. Ravi usually laughed when he saw the news about other winners in far-off systems. One day he decided to buy a ticket. The machine beeped and printed a small strip of glowing paper. Ravi held it in his hand and smiled. "Maybe it is time for a little luck," he whispered. Days passed. The station hummed with its usual quiet noises. The engines vibrated softly, the lights blinked in a pattern, and the small garden module grew green shoots of plants. Ravi checked the lottery news once a day. Nothing happened. Then, on a bright morning, the screen in the common room lit up with flashing stars. The announcement began. "Attention citizens of the Galactic Council. This week's first prize winner is from Earth. The lucky human is Ravi Patel." Ravi froze. He blinked at the screen. He checked the paper ticket in his hand. It was real. His name was really there. A crowd of people gathered around him. Some clapped. Some gasped. The station commander, a tall woman named Mira, walked over. "Ravi, is this true?" she asked. I think so," Ravi said. His voice shook. "It says my name," the commander smiled. "Well, it looks like the humans have finally made a mark in the Galactic lottery. You are being invited to the prize ceremony. You will leave in 2 days." Ravi did not know what to say. Prize ceremony? That sounded normal, maybe like a party, but then he read the details. The first prize was unusual. The ticket description flashed across the screen. First prize, a wedding with the crying supernova. Ravi laughed nervously. He showed it to his friend, Lino, a technician from Mars. "It says I am going to marry a crying supernova," Ravi said. Lino stared. "A star? Ravi, do you even know what that means?" "Stars do not marry humans." "I know," Ravi said. "I thought it was a joke too." But the very next hour, ships arrived from the Galactic Council. Their hulls shimmered with light no human had ever seen. They were not like normal spacecraft. They floated smoothly with no sound, and beams of energy scanned the station as if they were looking for one person. Ravi's heart raced. He could not hide. The council representatives greeted him politely. "Ravi Patel," said one of them. Its voice was calm, but somehow it filled the room. "You are chosen to receive the first prize of the Galactic Lottery. Please follow us. Your journey begins now." Ravi felt a mix of fear and excitement. He had never left the solar system. He had never been so far from Earth. The idea of going into deep space was thrilling, but also frightening. He looked at his small room one last time. The little garden, the tools, the stars outside his window, all would be memories now. He followed the council representatives to a ship that was unlike anything he had seen. It glowed with soft colors, shifting from blue to violet. The inside was spacious. The walls seemed to hum gently. Ravi wondered how they had made a ship so beautiful and so quiet. The aliens who had come with the ship were tall and thin. Their skin reflected the light like glass, and their eyes were large and calm. They did not speak much, only guided him to a comfortable seat. The ship left the station. Ravi pressed his face against the window. Jupiter grew smaller. Its storms swirled like painted clouds. The moon spun around it in slow dances. Earth was far behind, a tiny blue dot. Ravi's heart beat faster. He realized he was going into a galaxy he had only read about in books. The trip was long. Days passed in silence. The aliens did not eat or sleep, but they traveled steadily. Ravi tried to sleep, but he could not. He thought about the crying supernova. He had no idea what to expect. Was it alive? Could it speak? Could it even see him? The council representatives had not explained much. They only said that the supernova had been crying for thousands of years, and that it wanted a partner to understand it. At first, Ravi had laughed at the idea. Stars do not cry. Stars do not need friends. But now, seeing the galaxy pass by, he wondered. Maybe there was something he did not understand. Maybe life was bigger and stranger than he had imagined. Finally, the ship arrived at a system beyond any star charts Ravi had ever seen. The sun there was small, and several planets floated around it. But the most amazing sight was in the center of the system. A glowing sphere of light floated in space, huge and colorful. The colors shifted constantly from blue to gold, from pink to white. It seemed alive. Ravi felt his chest tighten. That was the crying supernova. The aliens guided him closer. "Do not be afraid," one said. "It will know your presence soon. Be calm and respectful." Ravi took a deep breath. He felt small in the presence of something so vast. He had never felt so insignificant and so alive at the same time. The supernova pulsed softly. Light flowed around it like water. Sometimes it seemed to waver like it was sad. Sometimes it glowed bright with joy. Ravi realized that it really was crying, but the tears were not like water. They were streams of glowing energy, drifting slowly into space. "Hello," Ravi whispered. He did not know if it could hear him, but he hoped it could. "My name is Ravi. I am from Earth." The supernova pulsed faster. Colors swirled around it. Ravi felt warmth from it, a strange, comforting warmth. The aliens remained silent, observing. Ravi did not know what to do next. Should he speak more? Should he move closer? He stayed where he was, staring at the great star, feeling both fear and wonder. Then a vision appeared before him. It was not in his eyes, but in his mind. He saw planets burning, civilizations begging, and the supernova crying. He felt its sadness. He realized that this being was not evil. It had power beyond comprehension, but it had sorrow too. It had been alone for millennia. Ravi's heart ached for the star. He had never felt such a connection with anything before. He did not know how he could help, but he decided he would try. He had not expected to be a hero. He had only wanted a simple life. Yet now he was here, standing before a living star, chosen to be its partner. The council representative spoke. "You must stay here for now. Observe and listen. The crying supernova will reveal itself to you in time. Your role is not to command or control, but to understand. No other species has succeeded. You must try." Ravi nodded, feeling the weight of the responsibility. He had never faced anything like this, but he also felt a spark of hope. If a human could touch the heart of a star, maybe humans were capable of more than they knew. As the ship hovered silently near the supernova, Ravi thought of home. He thought of the garden, the engines, the stars outside his window. He thought of the small joys he had taken for granted. Now everything seemed larger. The galaxy seemed larger. Life seemed larger. And in the center of it all, the crying supernova waited, glowing, sad, and alive. Ravi took a deep breath and whispered again, "I am ready." And so his journey began, not just as a winner of a lottery, but as a human chosen to face the oldest, brightest, and most sorrowful star in the galaxy. Ravi could hardly sleep. Even in the quiet of the ship, the glow of the crying supernova filled his vision. It was enormous, a sphere of light that seemed alive. Colors shifted across its surface like water flowing in streams of blue, gold, and pink. Ravi felt both awe and fear. How could something so vast exist and still need a partner? He tried to imagine a conversation with it. But how could a star talk? The council representatives had said very little. Observe and listen. Do not attempt to control it. It will respond in its own way. They spoke in calm, precise tones. Ravi had never felt more alone, yet he was surrounded by the most advanced beings in the galaxy. Their presence was silent, respectful, and almost ceremonial. Hours passed. Ravi stared at the supernova, and then he noticed it had movements. The light swirled in patterns, brightening and dimming in pulses. At first he thought it was random. Then he realized the pulses followed a rhythm, almost like a heartbeat. He remembered Mira's lessons from the station about patterns in nature. Perhaps this star communicated through light instead of words. Ravi raised his hand slowly. "Hello," he said. "My name is Ravi. I am from Earth." The supernova pulsed brighter. For a moment it seemed to respond, as if acknowledging his presence. Ravi felt a warmth in his chest. He could not explain it. It was not heat from the star. It was something else. Something inside him shifted. He felt hope, courage, and fear all at once. The aliens did not interfere. One of them, taller than the rest, moved slightly closer, observing silently. Ravi realized he had the freedom to act. No other species had ever been allowed so near. He was human, small, fragile, yet chosen. Ravi spoke again. "I do not know why I am here, but I want to help. Can you tell me what makes you sad?" The supernova's light changed dramatically. A wave of colors rushed outward, and suddenly Ravi saw images, Not with his eyes, but in his mind. He saw planets burning, civilizations struggling to survive, and stars collapsing into black holes. The supernova had been powerful for eons, and sometimes its light had harmed worlds unintentionally. He felt the sorrow as if it were his own. The vision shifted to show him other beings trying to approach it. Machines, weapons, and attempts at control had all failed. Every species had either fled or tried to dominate the star. None had stayed. None had understood its pain. Ravi took a deep breath. "I will not try to control you," he said quietly. "I will not run away. I will stay and listen." The supernova's colors dimmed slightly like a sigh. For the first time, Ravi felt the star's curiosity. It was not just a machine or a ball of gas. It was alive, ancient, and capable of feeling loneliness. A tear of light drifted from it, floating slowly into space. Ravi reached out his hand, though he knew he could not touch it. He wanted to offer comfort, even if it was only through his presence. The alien observers spoke softly to each other. "It has chosen to engage," one said. "This human does not fear. That is unusual. That is rare." Ravi did not hear them. He was focused on the star. "I am just one human," he said, "but I can try to understand you. I can share stories from my world. I can show you friendship." The supernova pulsed again. This time the pulses were slower, calmer. It sent a stream of images directly into his mind. Ravi saw mountains, oceans, forests, and cities on Earth. He saw children laughing, people building things together, and stars shining at night from his own sky. The images were warm, comforting, and full of life. He realized the supernova had never experienced this. All its knowledge was of destruction, of power, and of being alone. It had never seen kindness from someone so small, so fragile, yet so determined. Ravi began to speak more. He told stories of life on Earth, of the seasons, of friendship, of family. He described sunsets and rainbows, the feeling of wind on the skin and the taste of fresh fruit. He shared memories of joy, hope, and perseverance. The supernova pulsed in rhythm with his words, its light flickering like it was listening. Hours passed. Ravi did not notice time. He was fully immersed in the moment. The star's tears slowed, turning into gentle streams of glowing energy. He realized that even stars could be comforted by understanding and attention. One of the alien observers finally spoke. "It is responding to your presence. Humans have a rare quality. They can face fear, yet remain compassionate. They can understand sorrow without trying to dominate it." Ravi nodded, though he was not sure if the star could hear. He continued to share stories. He spoke of the courage of ordinary people, of humans building ships and cities, and of children learning from their mistakes. The supernova pulsed more brightly, almost like a smile of light. Then something remarkable happened. The star's light formed shapes, almost like figures dancing in the glow. Ravi understood the images were the star's way of communicating. He did not know how to interpret all of them, but he saw joy, sadness, and curiosity intertwined. It was the first time in millennia that the crying supernova had expressed anything beyond sorrow. Ravi felt a strange sense of connection. He was not just observing the star. He was part of its story now. He felt responsibility, but also a deep sense of purpose. Humans had never been in this position before. They had never faced a being older than the galaxy itself, and yet here he was, chosen not for strength or power, but for patience, understanding, and courage. Night came in the ship, though there was no real night in space. Ravi sat in silence, watching the pulses of light. The alien observers rested, though they did not need sleep. Ravi felt exhaustion, but also determination. He had to learn more about this star. He had to understand its fears, its memories, and its long loneliness. The supernova pulsed slower, almost as if it trusted him. Ravi whispered once more, "I am here. I will not leave. I want to understand you." A tear of golden light drifted slowly toward the ship, stopping just short of its hull. Ravi reached out his hand instinctively. He could not touch it, but he felt a warmth in his heart. The star had acknowledged him. It had accepted that he was different from all the others. Ravi realized then that humans were capable of something unique. They were not the strongest. They were not the fastest, but they could feel, understand, and persist in the face of the impossible. For thousands of years, the crying supernova had not known this. Now it was beginning to learn, the aliens whispered among themselves. "This human may succeed where all others have failed," one said. It is extraordinary. Ravi did not hear them. He was fully focused on the star. He felt a strange peace, a connection that went beyond words or logic. He had no idea what the next steps would be. He did not know if he could truly comfort a being so vast, but he knew he would try. As the ship floated silently near the supernova, Ravi closed his eyes and let the light wash over him. He felt small, fragile, and ordinary, yet he also felt brave, capable, and alive. For the first time in his life, he understood the meaning of being chosen. He whispered softly, "I will stay with you. I will listen. I will try to help." And the crying supernova pulsed brighter in response. As if it understood, Ravi had begun his journey, not just as a winner of a lottery, but as a human reaching out to the oldest, most sorrowful and most magnificent star in the galaxy. Ravi had been near the crying supernova for days. Each day felt longer than the last, yet every moment was full of wonder. The star pulsed constantly, a mix of colors shifting like flowing water. It seemed calm at times, then restless at others. Ravi knew he was not just observing a star. He was part of a test, a challenge no human had ever faced before. The aliens had explained little, but Ravi sensed the supernova was testing him. Other species had tried to control it with machines, weapons, or clever tricks. They had all failed. The supernova's sorrow had been too deep, its power too vast. Humans had never been in its presence before. And now, Ravi had to prove he could remain. He had to show understanding, not fear. One morning, as the ship floated silently near the star, the supernova pulsed violently. Light burst outward in waves, stronger than Ravi had seen before. It was as if the star were angry or afraid. Ravi felt the heat, not as fire, but as a deep vibration that ran through the ship. He stumbled, but held onto the rail. The alien observers whispered to each other, "It is beginning the first test. Stay calm, do not interfere." Ravi took a deep breath. His heart raced. He could have panicked. Many humans might have, and many species had. But he remembered what had brought him here: courage, patience, and the willingness to understand. He focused on the colors, the patterns, the pulses. The supernova was not attacking him. It was showing its feelings. Ravi spoke softly. "I am here. I am not leaving. I want to understand you." The supernova's light slowed slightly, then flared again. Suddenly visions appeared in his mind. He saw worlds burning, oceans boiling, cities collapsing. He felt the pain of billions of lives, all threatened by the power of the star. The images were overwhelming, like waves crashing over him. Many would have screamed or turned away. Ravi closed his eyes and let the visions flow through him. He felt sadness, fear, and guilt, but he did not resist. He did not try to stop the images. After hours, he could feel a pattern in the star's movements. The bursts of light were not random. They were like questions. The supernova wanted to know if he would remain calm, if he could face fear without running, if he could feel sorrow without giving up. Ravi realized then that this test was not about strength or skill. It was about patience. It was about the human ability to endure, to connect, to understand something far beyond their size. He whispered again, "I am here. I will not leave. I understand your pain." The supernova pulsed brighter. The light formed shapes, like moving symbols. Ravi could not understand them completely, but he felt their meaning. The star was seeking connection. It wanted someone to share its loneliness. Days passed in this pattern. Each day brought new visions, some terrifying, some beautiful. Ravi saw ancient civilizations the supernova had watched, great battles it had witnessed, and the sorrow it had carried for millennia. Each time, Ravi remained calm. Each time, he shared a story from Earth. He told the supernova about kindness, about courage, about people building lives even in difficult circumstances. One day, the supernova pulsed in a way that made the ship tremble. Light shot outward like a wave. Ravi was thrown to the floor. He could feel the energy in his body. It was more than heat or light. It was emotion made physical. The star was testing the limits of his endurance. He struggled to stand, gripping the rail. "I am here," he shouted. "I will not leave. I am listening." The supernova's light dimmed slightly. The vision slowed. For the first time, Ravi saw hesitation in its pulses. It was not violent anymore. It was unsure. The star had never met someone who remained after seeing its full power, its full sorrow. Ravi understood the importance of this moment. Many beings had failed not because they lacked intelligence, but because they had feared. He was afraid, of course. The energy of the supernova could destroy worlds. But he also felt determination. Fear could not rule him. Compassion could. He told stories of Earth again, this time focusing on resilience. He spoke of people helping each other during storms, of communities rebuilding after disasters, of families staying together despite hardships. The supernova's light brightened, swirling like a dance of hope and color. For the first time, Ravi felt the star's tears slow. The flows of energy softened, turning into gentle streams of light. It seemed to respond to his patience, to his willingness to endure. The alien observers watched silently, amazed. "Humans have a rare quality," one said quietly. "They can feel fear and sorrow without breaking. They can endure hardship with empathy. This may succeed where all others have failed." Ravi did not pay attention to them. He was focused entirely on the supernova. He tried to reach into its sadness with his thoughts, offering understanding, offering care. He knew he could not change the star's past. He could not erase the pain it had carried for thousands of years. But he could be present. He could listen. One evening, the star pulsed gently like a slow heartbeat. Ravi could see colors forming shapes that reminded him of dancing figures. He realized these shapes were a form of communication. The star was trying to show him its feelings, not in words, but in light. Ravi smiled faintly. "I see you," he whispered. "I feel you. I am here with you." The supernova's light swirled closer, and a beam of golden energy reached near the ship. Ravi felt warmth spread through him. He could not touch the light, yet he felt a connection as if the star were embracing him. He realized then that his test was working. The supernova was beginning to trust him. Days turned into nights, though there was no true night in space. Ravi grew tired, but he did not give up. He practiced patience, endurance, and empathy. Each test the supernova gave him seemed harder than the last, but each time he succeeded by staying calm, by listening, and by showing compassion. The alien observers murmured among themselves. "It is remarkable," one said. "No being has ever remained this long under its test. Humans may succeed." Ravi did not hear them. He was fully immersed in the challenge. He was learning the language of the supernova, not with words, but with emotions, presence, and understanding. He realized the star had been crying for millennia because no one had ever tried to understand it without fear. Finally, one pulse of light spread slowly, soothingly, across space. Ravi felt a warmth unlike anything he had known. The supernova's tears became streams of gentle, glowing energy. It seemed to accept him, not as a conqueror or a servant, but as a companion. Ravi understood that humans were different. They were not the strongest, the fastest, or the most powerful. But they had empathy. They had patience. They had courage. And courage combined with care could succeed where all else had failed. He whispered softly, "I am here. I will stay. I will not leave." The supernova pulsed in response, steady and bright, as if acknowledging him. It was the first sign of hope the star had known in thousands of years. Ravi had passed the first real test. He had shown that humans could face fear and sorrow without breaking. Ravi knew this was only the beginning. The supernova had more to reveal, more challenges to offer. But for the first time he felt confident. Humans had a gift that no other species had shown. They could connect, understand, and endure. And this gift might be exactly what the crying supernova needed. As the ship floated silently in the light of the star, Ravi felt a deep sense of purpose. He had come from a small station near Jupiter, a simple life, and now he was part of something larger than the galaxy itself. He realized that being human meant more than survival. It meant courage, empathy, and the willingness to stand with those who had suffered, no matter how vast or ancient they were. Ravi closed his eyes and let the light wash over him. He felt small yet strong, afraid yet determined, ordinary yet chosen. The test was not over, but he knew he had made the first step. The crying supernova had begun to trust him. And in that trust, Ravi discovered a truth he would carry forever. Humans were capable of hope, courage, and understanding even in the face of the impossible. He whispered once more, "I am ready for whatever comes next." And the star pulsed brighter, as if answering, acknowledging, and beginning a new chapter of its long, lonely life with a human beside it. Ravi had survived the first tests of the crying supernova. He had stood before visions of destruction, endured waves of sorrow, and faced the power of a star that could burn worlds. He had not run. He had not tried to control it. Instead, he had listened. He had shared stories, offered patience, and remained calm. For the first time in thousands of years, the great star had begun to trust another being. But trust was only the beginning. The supernova still carried endless pain, and Ravi knew it would not be easy to reach its heart. Every day the star sent visions into his mind. Some were gentle, like streams of light showing him galaxies being born. Others were harsh, like flames of memory where whole planets had been destroyed by accident. Ravi endured them all, his heart aching but steady. One morning, as he sat inside the ship near the observation window, the supernova pulsed brightly, brighter than ever before. Colors swirled violently, crashing together in shades of red and white. The alien observers shifted nervously. They whispered to each other, "This is the second test. It will decide whether the human truly belongs." Ravi felt the heat of the star's emotion through the hull of the ship. His chest tightened. He closed his eyes, preparing himself. The vision struck him harder than before. He saw entire galaxies falling into silence. He saw civilizations crying out as their worlds burned. He felt the guilt of the supernova, guilt so heavy it was like a mountain crushing his spirit. For a moment, Ravi thought he could not bear it. He wanted to cover his ears, close his eyes, and hide, but then he remembered the people of Earth. He remembered storms, earthquakes, and fires. He remembered how humans had faced disasters together, helping each other rebuild. He remembered children laughing after rain, families standing firm even when everything seemed lost. Ravi spoke aloud, his voice steady despite the visions. "I understand your pain. I see what you carry, but you are more than destruction. You are light. You give life too." The supernova's pulsing slowed, then brightened again, confused. It sent another vision, this time of a planet it had destroyed long ago. A world filled with oceans and forests, now gone. The guilt pressed harder against Ravi's heart. He almost broke under the weight, but he forced himself to keep speaking. "On Earth we make mistakes," Ravi said. "We hurt each other sometimes. We fail, but we also forgive. We also learn. You cannot erase what has happened, but you can still shine. You can still bring warmth. You can still share your light." The alien observers fell silent. They had never heard such words spoken to the supernova. Other species had offered technology, promises, or threats. None had offered forgiveness. None had reminded the star that it was more than its mistakes. The supernova's tears of light slowed. A golden wave spread across space, soft and calm. Ravi felt warmth touch his skin, not burning but comforting. He knew then that his words had reached the star. That night, Ravi told the supernova stories of Earth. He spoke of rivers and mountains, of the sound of rain on rooftops, of farmers planting seeds in the soil. He spoke of songs sung by families, of laughter shared in small homes, of hope carried through generations. He did not hide human struggles. He spoke of wars, disasters, and pain, but he always ended with hope, with resilience, with the way humans kept moving forward no matter what. The supernova pulsed gently as he spoke, its light glowing brighter with each story. It showed him images of itself shining on distant worlds, warming planets, and giving life to countless species. Ravi smiled. "Yes," he said, "that is who you are too. Not just sorrow. You are life." The days turned into weeks. Ravi grew tired, but his spirit stayed strong. The star began to change. Its tears became softer, its pulses steadier. Sometimes Ravi felt joy coming from it, small but real. It was as if the supernova had begun to remember what it was like to shine with pride instead of sorrow. One evening, as Ravi watched the star, he felt a sudden shift. A vision filled his mind, but this time it was different. He saw himself standing beside the star, not as a fragile human, but as a companion. He saw light flowing around him, not harming him, but protecting him. The vision was a question. Would he stay? Would he truly become its partner? Ravi's heart pounded. He thought of his small room on the station near Jupiter. He thought of Earth, the gardens, the people. He missed them, but he also felt something larger calling him. He had been chosen not by chance, but by something deeper. He placed his hand on the observation window. "Yes," he whispered. "I will stay. I will be your partner. Not as a prisoner, not as a ruler, but as a friend." The supernova's light exploded outward, not in anger, but in joy. Waves of color filled space, painting the void with gold, silver, and violet. The alien observers shielded their eyes, overwhelmed by the beauty. "It accepts," one said softly. "The human has been chosen." Ravi felt the warmth surround him. It was not just light. It was trust. It was connection. The star had accepted him, not because he was strong, but because he was human. Because he could endure sorrow and still offer kindness. From that day forward, the supernova's tears grew fewer. Ravi continued to share stories, continued to listen, continued to remind it of hope. And the star responded with light, with warmth, with a growing joy that spread across space. The aliens recorded everything. They sent messages across the galaxy, announcing that a human had done the impossible. Species everywhere were stunned. No one had ever calmed the crying supernova. No one had ever been accepted as its partner. But Ravi had succeeded, not through force, but through patience, empathy, and courage. Ravi did not think of himself as a hero. He thought of himself as a simple worker from a station near Jupiter, someone who had fixed engines and cared for small gardens. But perhaps that was exactly why he had succeeded. He had not come with pride or with weapons. He had come with humility and understanding. The crying supernova pulsed brighter every day. It was still vast, still powerful, but now it had a companion who reminded it of hope. Ravi realized that his life had changed forever. He would never return to his quiet station. He was now part of something greater. He was part of a bond between human courage and the oldest star in the galaxy. One night, as he lay resting, Ravi thought of Earth. He thought of the people who would hear this story. He hoped they would understand what it meant. Humans were not the strongest or the most advanced. But they had something no other species had shown, the strength to face sorrow with compassion. Ravi whispered softly, "We are human. We are small, but we are not weak. We can bring hope even to the brightest star." The crying supernova pulsed gently in answer, as if it agreed. Its light spread across the galaxy, carrying a new message of peace and renewal. And at the center of it all was a human, standing as proof that even the simplest of beings could bring strength, hope, and light to the universe. The galaxy had never seen such a moment. For ages, the crying supernova had been known as a being of sorrow, a power too dangerous for any to approach. Civilization spoke of it in fear and wonder, yet now everything was different. A single human named Ravi had entered its heart, listened to its pain, and offered compassion. He had become more than a guest. He had become a companion. The alien council gathered across the skies. Great ships circled at a respectful distance, their silver frames gleaming. Leaders of many species arrived, some with wings, some with scales, some glowing like crystals. They had come not to fight or to argue. They had come to witness. Word had spread quickly that the crying supernova had chosen a partner, and that partner was human. Ravi stood on a platform built for the ceremony. It was not made of stone or metal. It was made of woven light drawn gently from the star itself. He felt the warmth beneath his feet, soft and steady, not burning. Above him, the supernova swirled with calm brilliance. Its colors were no longer violent tears, but gentle waves of gold, silver, and soft blue. An alien elder stepped forward to speak. His voice was deep and calm, echoing through the air. Across countless ages, the crying supernova wept for what was lost. Today, it no longer weeps alone. A human has shown that sorrow can be met with hope. This is not a binding of chains, but a union of trust. Today, we witness a wedding of light. The crowd of beings from many worlds grew quiet. Even ships that were far away tuned their systems to watch. For a moment, all the galaxy seemed to hold its breath. Ravi placed his hand on his chest. His heart beat fast, not from fear, but from meaning. He had never imagined such a day, He had never thought of himself as special, only a simple worker who had once lived in a small room near Jupiter. Yet here he was, standing before a star, about to take part in a union no one had ever dreamed possible. The light of the supernova bent downward, forming a great shape of fire and glow. It was not a body in the human sense, but a form that could be seen, almost like a bride made of radiant streams. It shimmered with colors that no words could fully describe. When it reached the platform, it pulsed softly as if it were breathing. The elder raised his hands. "Do you, Ravi of Earth, accept the bond with the crying supernova? To walk in trust, to share sorrow and joy, to be a companion in light?" Ravi lifted his eyes to the glowing form. His voice was steady. "Yes, I accept. Not as a master, not as a servant, but as a friend and partner." The elder then turned to the great star. "Do you, crying supernova, accept this human, to share your light, to listen and to give, to walk together in hope?" The star's answer was not words, but waves of radiant color that swept across the galaxy. Golden streams burst outward, touching distant ships and planets. Beings far away gasped as they felt a warmth on their skin or scales or shells. It was an answer greater than any sound. It was yes, the elder smiled. "Then it is done. This bond is true. This is the wedding of light." At that moment the sky changed. The supernova released not destruction but creation. Thousands of sparks flew out, each one turning into a small star. New suns were born across the void. The galaxy glowed brighter, and every witness understood that this was a blessing. Ravi felt the warmth around him grow deeper. The star's light flowed gently over him, wrapping him in a mantle of glow. It was not heavy, not painful. It was a promise. He felt as though the star had placed its trust in him completely, giving him part of its heart. The alien crowds began to sing. Their voices were strange, some high, some low, some vibrating like crystal bells. Together it became a chorus that filled the air with beauty. It was not one culture's song, but the song of many worlds joined in respect. Ravi closed his eyes for a moment and breathed. He thought of Earth, of the rivers, mountains, and gardens he had once cared for. He thought of people living their daily lives, not knowing that one of their own now stood at the center of the galaxy's most extraordinary event. He whispered softly, "This is for all of us." The supernova pulsed gently, as if it had heard him. After the ceremony, Ravi spoke to the gathered beings. He did not use grand words or complicated ideas. He spoke simply, as he always had. "I am human. I am small, like all of us are compared to the stars. But we are not weak. We can face sorrow. We can offer kindness. This bond is proof that even the greatest pain can find hope again." The crowd listened in silence. Many had doubted humans, calling them too young, too fragile, too untested. But now those doubts faded. A human had done what none of them had achieved. A human had given peace to the crying supernova. The alien elder turned to Ravi and bowed deeply. "From this day, humanity will be remembered not as wanderers of a small world, but as a species that gave comfort to a star. Your strength is not in weapons, but in your heart." The celebrations continued. Ships released streams of light into space. Dancers of other species moved in patterns that shimmered like water. Some beings planted seeds of glowing plants as gifts, while others offered crystals that sang with soft tones. Yet the greatest gift was the joy of the supernova itself, shining brighter than ever, no longer trapped in sorrow. Ravi stayed close to the star, speaking to it through thoughts and feelings. He promised to remain by its side, to remind it of hope whenever darkness tried to return. In return, the supernova promised light and warmth, not just for him but for countless worlds. Together they had formed not just a bond, but a future. As time passed, the legend of the wedding spread. On Earth, children gathered to hear stories of Ravi and the crying supernova. They learned that humans could reach the heart of even the brightest star. Farmers looked up at night skies and felt pride, knowing one of their own had become a companion of light. Travelers spoke of hope, carrying the story across colonies and stations. Other species learned too. They realized that strength was not only in power but in compassion. Some who had once been at war sought peace, inspired by the bond they had seen. The galaxy began to change slowly but surely toward a brighter path. For Ravi, life was no longer simple, but it was true. He had not lost himself. He was still the same man who had once fixed machines and tended gardens. But now he was also part of something greater, something eternal. Every night when he rested, he felt the star's presence close to him. Sometimes it sent him visions of new suns being born, of galaxies turning slowly in grace. Other times it showed him memories of Earth, as if reminding him that his roots mattered too. Together they balanced sorrow and joy, past and future, human and star. One evening, as he stood at the edge of the platform, he looked into the endless dark around them. He smiled softly and spoke to the star. "We did not win a prize of gold or power. We won something greater. We won trust. We won hope." The supernova answered with a gentle pulse of golden light, bright enough to touch distant worlds. It was its way of saying yes. And so the story ended not with sorrow but with light. A wedding unlike any other had taken place, not between two humans, not even between two beings of flesh, but between a man and a star. It was proof that in the vast cold universe, warmth could still be found. It was proof that even the smallest species could bring hope to the greatest of powers. The crying supernova no longer cried alone. It shone with joy. And at its side stood Ravi, the human who had turned sorrow into light, forever a companion, forever a friend, forever a beacon of what it meant to be human.